There is a secret about Jesus Christ that the Catholic Church has tried to burn for 2,000 years. I guarded an alien ship, and in return he revealed the truth to me, the forbidden text of Ethiopian Bible. And what has been removed from that gospel will destroy the foundation of everything you believe. We are talking about real manuscripts preserved in monasteries that show Jesus teaching something completely different than what churches preach today. The big question is not what is written. It is because this message was removed, and why institutions of power called this teaching heresy, persecuting and burning those who mentioned it. Are you ready to discover what Jesus really taught after the resurrection? A truth that was hidden so you never had the power to discover what the alien revealed about Christianity and the true spiritual power that has been hidden from you. Before we dive deeper, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Grab yourself a warm drink, maybe a cup of tea or just some water, and sit back as we begin this journey together. Because what happened to Robert Hale that night in Montana will change everything you believe in. Let me tell you how it all began. Robert Hale was checking the north fence when he saw it. Light cutting through the sky, descending too fast to be an airplane. 56 years old, lifelong rancher, Montana, 3 hours from the nearest city. Baptist Christian, Bible on the bedside table, prayer before meals, simple but firm faith, and now something falling on your property. Impact behind the barn. The ground shook, the cattle bolted in fright. Robert grabbed his shotgun and flashlight, his heart pounded. What the hell was that? He walked around the barn and stopped. Object 6 meters in diameter. Oval metal that wasn't metal. Almost liquid silvery blue surface. Shining cracked side. Smoke or steam escaping. Burn marks on the floor. What the? Robert raised his shotgun. His hands were sweaty. Movement. Side of the object. Something coming out. Staggering. Robert pointed. Stand still. I'll shoot. Figure stopped. He raised his hands. It wasn't human. Tall. Too thin. Translucent blue skin. Large head. Huge golden eyes. Holding his side. Something was dripping down. It was glowing in the dark. Robert recoiled. What? What is this? The thing looked at him. It didn't speak, but Robert heard it in his head. Don't shoot. Jesus Christ, he almost dropped the gun. Are you in my head? Sorry, I can't say anything. Just thinking for you. No, 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 no. This is not happening. Robert backed away further. It is. I'm sorry. I didn't plan to fall here. What are you, traveler? From afar. Ship damaged. Crashed. Robert looked at the object ship, then at the creature, clearly injured, luminous fluid oozing. Are you going to hurt me? Kidnap me? Experiment on me? No. How do I know? He doesn't know. But if he wanted to, he would have done it already. Robert kept his gun pointed, thinking quickly. The creature didn't attack. It was injured. Vulnerable even. What do you want? Hide. 3 days. Ship repairs itself. Then I'll leave. 3 days on my farm. Try. What if I say no? What if I call the police? You can do it. Free choice. But they take me, study me, dissect me alive, probably. Robert felt sick. Don't try to manipulate me with guilt. I don't manipulate. Fact. Governments do that with things they don't understand. And why me? Why not? I don't know. Go somewhere else because I fell here and you are here by chance. Robert looked around. His property, 200 acres. No close neighbors. If anyone finds out, no one goes. I stay quiet. An inactive ship is difficult to detect. And you? Where are you staying? Inside the ship. I need to monitor repairs. Robert lowered his gun slightly. Do you have a name or what? Cale. And you're Robert Hale. How do you know my name? I saw it in your mind when we connected. Get out of my head. Sorry, I can't completely help myself while talking like this. Robert took a deep breath several times, processing absolute madness. Okay. 3 days. You stay in the barn. Don't go out. Don't do anything weird. And then you go. Got it. Yes. Gratitude, and stop thanking me. Just get in there before someone shows up. 10 minutes later, Robert pushed open the barn gate. Kael moved the ship, floated inside behind old tractors. Stay there. I'll think about what to do. Robert, I'm injured. Seriously, you'll heal faster with assistance. I don't know anything about alien anatomy. I can drive. Robert looked at Cale, wound, dripping with that strange fluid. Damn. Okay, what do I do? Pressure here. Cale pointed to the side of his torso. Firm. 5 minutes. Robert grabbed a clean rag. He brought it closer. Will this hurt? It already hurts. Pressed hot substance. Viscous. Not disgusting, just strange. And he felt it. A stronger connection. As if by touching the barrier between minds diminished. Thanks. Don't talk. Think. Whatever. Just let me do this. Silence. 5 minutes. Robert holding pressure. Cale, motionless. Why are you here on Earth? Observation. My species has been observing yours for a long time. Watch for what? Interest. Concern. Sometimes concern. You are at a critical evolutionary moment. It could go well or very badly. And what do? Interfere? No. I observe. I record. I protect when I can without breaking the rules. What rules? Free will. I can't force anything, just offer information when appropriate. Robert removed the rag. The bleeding, or whatever it was, had stopped. There. Is that better? Yes. Very much. Regeneration begins now. Robert threw a rag on the floor. 3 days. I'll keep bringing you water, but don't expect me to be a friend or anything. I don't expect it. I just thank you for not giving up on me. I still can. Yes, but it won't. How do you know? Because I felt you when we connected. A good man. Scared, but good. He doesn't give up when he's hurt, even if the hurt is an alien. Robert turned to leave. He stopped at the door. 3 days, Cale? Just 3 days? Then you'll go, and I'll forget this ever happened. If that's what you want. Something in his tone, even telepathic, sounded doubtful, as if Cale knew Robert wouldn't forget ever. Robert left. He closed the barn. He locked it from the outside. He walked back home in shock. Alien on his farm, real wounded, hidden. He walked into the house. He went straight to the bottle of whiskey. He drank straight from the bottle. Hands trembling, heart still racing, mind struggling between denying everything and accepting impossibility. He looked at the Bible on the table. He picked it up. He opened it at random, an old habit when he needed guidance. Hebrews 13. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by showing hospitality, some have entertained angels without realizing it. Robert laughed humorlessly. Angels? Sure. Why not aliens, too? He drank more. He sat down heavily. His head was in his hands. 3 days. Just 3 days. Then Kyle would leave, and life would return to normal. But something in him, intuition, instinct, knew he was lying to himself because he had felt something when he touched Kyle. Connection, depth, as if that being knew important things, truths. And part of Robert, the curious part that always questioned, always sought, wanted to know. But another part, the scared, conservative Christian part, just wanted it all to go away. Robert looked out the window. Dark barn, silent, holding impossibility. And he felt fear and excitement mixed together that the next 3 days would change everything all. The next morning, Robert woke up thinking he had dreamed, until I looked out the window and saw the barn locked, silent, real coffee, toast, automatic routine, while the mind processed alien on the property. This was real. He grabbed a bottle of water. He walked to the barn. The sun was rising over the mountains. He unlocked the door and went in. Ship still there. Cale sitting next to it. Strange position, legs crossed in a way that a human couldn't. Golden eyes opened as Robert entered. Good morning. Yeah, good morning. Robert poured water on the floor. I brought this. You said it helps. Yes, thank you. Cale picked up the bottle, a fluid, graceful movement, and drank. Not exactly drank. Swallowed. Liquid disappearing without visible swallowing. Robert observed. Did you sleep? Something like that. Not like you. Regenerative state. And the wound. Cale showed the side. Almost closed. Healing impossible in 12 hours. That's fast. Yes, my biology repairs efficiently. 2 more days and I'll be completely cured. And on the ship, 3 days. As I said, self-repair takes time, even with advanced technology. Robert sat on an old box, a safe distance away. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why you specifically? Why were you flying alone if your species is this advanced? Solo observation mission. Less detectable than groups but risky as I discovered. And that other faction that attacked you. Disagreement over interference. They want to intervene more directly on Earth. We think it should evolve on its own. Intervene how? Like invasion? No. Influence, guide development, accelerate technology. But this violates free will. It creates dependency. And you think it's wrong? Yes, species must grow organically. Premature help creates weakness, not strength, Robert sued. So you just watch while we get screwed over alone. We don't watch indifferently. We record, we learn, and sometimes, very rarely, we share information with those who are ready. Soon. How? Receptive, open, able to use wisdom without destroying it. And you think I'm ready for anything? Kael inclined his head, an almost human gesture. Maybe I'm still feeling you. Feeling like frequency, intention, heart, not words, essence. A man of faith yet questioning, simple yet not simplistic, afraid yet courageous. Robert laughed humorlessly. Brave. I've been scared shitless since you fell in here. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's action despite it. You acted, you helped, that's courage. Silence. Robert looking at Kael. Impossible creature saying sensible things. You said your species has been watching us for a long time. How long? Millennia. Since civilizations began to be built. Millenniums like pyramids, Babylon, all that. Yes. And before and you, did you build the pyramids, Stonehenge, Nazca? No. Humans did with their own ingenuity. But sometimes there were visitors of various species. Some helped, others just watched. Jesus Christ. Robert ran a hand through his hair. So ancient astronaut theories are real. Partially. Much is an exaggeration, but core, yes, there was contact. Sporadic, limited. And now is there still any? Yes, but even more secret. Governments know some keep it hidden. Why? Why hide? Panic, fear, religious collapse, loss of control. If the masses knew they were not alone, that there were more advanced beings, power structures would crumble. Robert felt dizzy. So everything is a lie. Religion, God. I didn't say that. So what are you saying? Kael remained silent. Then God or source or supreme consciousness is real. But human religions have interpreted it through limited lenses. They have mixed truth with control. They have preserved some teachings, distorted others. Distorted how? They removed, they edited, they hid texts that were too empowering. They kept those that controlled. Robert felt something tighten in his chest. Are you talking about the Bible? Yes and no. The Bible, is true, but incomplete, edited. Councils chose what was included. The rest was discarded. Like what texts? Many Gnostic Gospels, Book of Enoch, Jubilees, texts on the complete teachings of Jesus after his resurrection. Robert stood up. Wait, are you saying that there are texts about Jesus that were hidden? Try. Where? How do you know that? Because I observed it when it happened. Not personally before my time, but records. My species documented it. And because some texts survived, preserved where? Ethiopia. Robert froze. Ethiopia. The country. Yes. It was never colonized. The Ethiopian Church preserved the complete Bible. 88 books. Not 66 like the Western Church. They kept what Rome removed. Why have I never heard of this? Because it's not widely disseminated. Western churches downplay it. They call it apocryphal, non-canonical. But texts are as old as any other, some even older. Robert sat back down, his mind racing. And what do these texts say? That it's so dangerous? Kael studied him. Are you sure you want to know? It can change everything you believe. You have 3 days here. I'll be thinking about it if you don't tell me. So, yes, tell me. Okay. But first, I need you to understand the context. The barn door burst open. Robert jumped. His hand went to the shotgun that wasn't there. Nothing. Just whined. He ran, closed the door, and locked it from the inside. Damn. Almost had a heart attack. Robert, are you okay? Yeah, just nervous. If someone shows up, no one goes. The property is isolated. I feel as if there were humans nearby. Can you sense people? Yes. Field of consciousness up to 5 kilometers. We are alone. Robert took a deep breath. Okay. Go on. You were going to talk about Jesus. Yes, Jesus was, how to say, avatar, higher consciousness incarnate. He came to teach humanity about the divine nature within, internal like inside people. Yes, his central message, the kingdom of God, is within you. Not in a temple, not in a ritual, within, in each person. I know that the Bible says so. He says, but the full context has been removed. In the 40 days after the resurrection, before his ascension, Jesus taught more deeply about the nature of reality, inner power, the truth about death. And this is in the Ethiopian texts. Yes, preserved, while Rome burned copies and killed those who owned them. Why? Why would the church do that? Control. Complete texts teach that each person has direct divine power. No intermediary is needed. No priest is needed. No institution is needed. Church cannot control masses if masses know they are directly connected to the divine. Robert felt anger rising. So they lied for centuries. They didn't lie completely. They preserved part of it, but they edited the rest. They turned the message of liberation into a tool of control. And how do you know this? How does an alien know about Christian theology? Because we observe, we document, and because truth is universal, it doesn't belong to a species. The principles Jesus taught are the same as those taught by other higher consciousnesses in other worlds. Robert was quiet, processing. Can you show me the texts? What did Jesus really teach? I don't have physical texts, but I have records. Collective memory of my species. I can share telepathically if you want. Is this safe? Won't it fry my brain or something? No, just shared vision, like guided dreaming. You control it. You can stop whenever you want. Robert looked at Kale, an alien who had crashed on his farm, offering to reveal hidden truths about Jesus. Part of him screamed, "Heresy, demon, flee!" But a larger part, the part that always questioned, always sought, whispered, "Truth, finally, truth." "Okay," Robert said. "Show me. Are you sure? There's no going back. Once you know, you can't unknow." Exhibitions. Kael approached. He placed his hand, 3 long fingers on Robert's forehead. "Close your eyes. Breathe. Open your mind." Robert obeyed, and the world exploded into vision. Robert was no longer in the barn. Was it somewhere else? Not a physical place, a space of consciousness, collective memory. And he saw not with his eyes, but he felt he knew, as if information flowed directly into understanding Jesus. After resurrection, 40 days before ascension, Robert saw, felt, Jesus gathered with his disciples, not in a temple, in an open field, on a mountain, and he was teaching, not simple parables, profound truths, voice of Jesus, not audible words, but the essence of the teaching flowing. "I told you the kingdom of God is within you, but you did not fully understand. When I say inside, I am not talking about place. I am talking about essence. Each of you, each human being carries a divine spark. The Holy Spirit dwells within, not in a temple of stone, in a temple of flesh. Your body is a living temple of the Most High." Robert felt disciples confused, processing Peter asking, "But Master, what about the temple in Jerusalem, the Holy of Holies where God dwells?" Jesus replied, "God does not dwell in human constructions. He dwells in conscience. When you pray, you do. We not need to go to a holy place. A holy place is wherever you are if you have a pure heart, A pure heart is worth more than 1,000 golden temples. Robert felt the weight of those words, magnitude, vision changed, Jesus teaching more. After I am gone, many will come in my name. They will build empires. They will erect cathedrals. They will create elaborate rituals. And they will say, only through us will they reach God. Only through our institution is their salvation. But I tell you, lie. No one needs an intermediary between the soul and the Creator. Connection is direct. It has always been direct. They will use my name to control, to wage war, to accumulate power and wealth, and masses will worship in appearance, entering temples, repeating prayers, but with empty hearts, going through the motions without real transformation. Robert felt a chill. Jesus prophesying exactly what the church would become. Vision continued. Jesus speaking about death. When your body dies, and it will, that's natural. Don't be afraid. Physical death is just a change of clothes. The soul does not die. It never died. It can never die. It only changes form. The real danger is not dying. It is living dead inside. Empty, without love, without purpose, without connection to the divine within. Every thought, every emotion, every action shapes the soul. As a sculptor shapes clay, thoughts of hate, fear, revenge darken the soul, make it dense, heavy. Thoughts of love, compassion, forgiveness illuminate the soul, make it light, luminous. And when they die, soul goes where it belongs. Light attracts light. Darkness attracts darkness. There is no external judge condemning. The soul itself, seeing the complete truth of how it lived, judges itself. Robert felt the impact. Self-judgment, not a vengeful God, but conscience, facing its own truth. Jesus continued, the kingdom of God is not a distant place. It is not heaven beyond the clouds. It is a state of being achievable now, while alive, while in body. How? Through love, conscious, active love. Not passive feeling, but constant choice. When you love genuinely, unconditionally, you touch the kingdom, you live in it, even in a fallen world. And when enough do this, when a critical mass lives in conscious love, kingdom manifests on earth. Not through holy war, not through forced conversion, through multiplied internal transformation. Vision began to fade. Robert felt the connection weaken. Last image, Jesus looking directly at Robert through time and smiling sadly like someone who knows the message will be distorted but plants the seed anyway. When the world is darkest, my voice will return. Not in institutions of power, but among the humble, those who seek, those who question. Truth cannot be buried forever, only temporarily forgotten. Robert opened his eyes. Back in the barn, Cale removed his hand from his forehead, tears streaming down without realizing it. Was that real? Did Jesus really teach that? Yes. Recorded, preserved in Ethiopian texts, and in the collective memory of species they observed. But church they removed it. At the Council of Nika, 325 AD, they chose which books would be included in the official Bible. The rest were banned, burned. Possession was heresy punishable by death. Why? Why hide it? Because it teaches power, autonomy, direct connection. The church cannot control masses who know they don't need the church. Robert covered his face with his hands. My whole life I went to church. I listened to preachers. I read the Bible they gave me and everything. Everything was half the truth, not half part. The Bible that exists contains truth, but it is incomplete, edited to serve the power structure. And what else was removed? What else did Jesus teach? A lot about the dual nature of creation. About two creators. About his true mission. Two creators. What does that mean? Want to know, or do you need to process what you've seen? Robert wiped his face. He took a deep breath several times. Tell me everything. You've already broken my faith, or what I thought was faith. You can continue. I didn't break your faith. I freed it. True faith doesn't depend on dogma. It depends on a direct connection with the divine which has always been within you. Then show me the rest about two creators, about Jesus' real mission. Okay. But this will be even more disturbing because it challenges not only the church but the concept of reality that has been taught. It doesn't matter. I need to know. Cale nodded. So, get ready. The next revelation is about the nature of this world and why Jesus really came, not to found religion, but to free consciences from prisons they don't even know they're in. Robert closed his eyes again. Show me. And Cale touched his forehead for the second time, taking Robert deeper to the truth that the church would call the ultimate blasphemy. But what Ethiopian texts preserved for 2,000 years in isolated monasteries have always known the truth about two creators. And which one really controls this world? Robert plunged into vision again. This time it's different, clearer, more historic. Jerusalem. Days after the crucifixion, rumors spreading. Robert felt confusion among Jesus' followers. Fear, grief, but also strange whispers. The body is gone. Someone saw him alive walking. It can't be. He was dead. We saw him. And then the vision changed. Ethiopian manuscript. Ancient, preserved in a monastery in the mountains of La Bella. Ethiopian Gospel of Peace. Alternative version of events. Cale narrating telepathically while Robert watched. Ethiopian texts suggest Jesus did not die on the cross. Or if he was crucified, it was not the end Rome wanted. Vision showing night before the crucifixion. Plan. Secret followers. Rescue prepared. Judas, not a traitor, but part of the plan. He handed Jesus over to the authorities, but knew his escape was already planned. Crucifixion taking place, but body being removed before complete death. Substitution, night rescue, Ethiopian records, preserve. Jesus left Jerusalem alive, wounded but alive, and he traveled. Robert saw routes east through deserts to India, or south to Ethiopia, or west to Egypt. He lived for years after his resurrection, not as a ghost, as a man. Continuing to teach, and teachings were different from what the church preserved. Vision, showing Jesus in remote villages, teaching healing through nature. Plants are not just food, they are medicine. God put healing on earth, you've just forgotten how to use it. Teaching about water. Clean water heals the body. Fasting cleanses the spirit. Sun energizes the soul. Earth sustains everything connected. Teaching balance. Body and spirit are not enemies. They are partners. Do not despise the flesh. It is a temple, but do not be slaves to it. Earth as mother, sun as father, elements as brothers, all creation sacred, not just humans. Robert felt the beauty of it. Profound simplicity. And Jesus teaching about liberation. I came to free you not only from sin but from ignorance. Ignorance about who you are, about the power you carry. Everyone can do what I do. Healings, miracles, not because I'm special, but because I remember what you forgot. You are divine. I did not come to create religion. I came to awaken consciences, but after I leave, they will transform awakening into dogma, freedom into prison. Vision showing Jesus' prophecy. They will use my name to build empires, cathedrals of gold, while the poor die of hunger. They will fight in my name. They will kill in my name. They will say they are doing God's will while serving their own power. They will create elaborate rituals, pompous vestments, hierarchies. And they will say only through us do they attain salvation. But I say lie. Salvation does not come from outside. It comes from within, reconnecting with the light that has always lived within you. Truth will be called heresy. Liberators will be burned. Texts will be destroyed. But it doesn't matter because truth cannot be killed, only slept. And when the time is right, it wakes up. Changing vision. Council of Nika, 325 AD. Robert saw bishops assembled. Emperor Constantine presiding. Stacks of manuscripts, gospels, texts, teachings, and the choices being made. This one goes in, this one goes out, this one we preserve, this one we burn, not based on truth, but on control. Texts that empowered the masses removed, texts that centralized power in the church preserved. Gospel of Thomas. The kingdom is within you and around you, not in buildings of wood and stone, removed. Gospel of Mary Magdalene, showing her as an apostle equal to men, removed. Book of Enoch, teaching about other beings, other dimensions, removed. Texts about post-resurrection Jesus teaching. For 40 days, full, unedited version, removed. And whoever possessed these texts, heresy, punishable by death. But Ethiopia resisted view, showing Labella Mountains, isolated monasteries, monks, copying manuscripts by hand, preserving 88 books, not 66 all full version, while Rome burned, Ethiopia guarded while Europe forgot. Ethiopia remembered for 2,000 years. Waiting, Robert returned. Opening his eyes, KL removing his hand, heavy breathing, sweating, but no panic this time. Something different. So Jesus lived after the crucifixion. Ethiopian text suggests this not as absolute certainty, but as a preserved possibility that Rome erased. Why? Why did Rome need him dead? Because the living Jesus teaching liberation was a threat. The dead sacrificed, Jesus became a tool of control. He died for your sins. Now you owe obedience to the church that preserves his legacy. And if he lived, where did he go? What did he do? He taught in peace. Far from Jerusalem, far from Rome. He showed that salvation does not come from bloody sacrifice. It comes from conscious awakening. Robert was quiet processing and the Ethiopian texts. Do they have all this written down? Yes. 88 books in Gaze, the oldest liturgical language still in use, preserved in monasteries, available to those seeking it. Why have I never heard about this? Why hasn't any pastor mentioned it? Because the Western Church downplays it, calls it apocryphal, non-canonical, as if choices made at Nika were more valid than original manuscripts preserved for 2,000 years. And you, your kind, why do you keep these records? Why do you care? Because we observe, we document, and because truth matters, not just for humans, but universally. Jesus was not unique. Other higher consciousnesses came to other worlds. They taught liberation, and they were always suppressed by power structures. So this happens everywhere, not just here. Yes, universal standard. Power corrupts. Institutions crystallize. Truth is buried. But it also always resurfaces. An eternal cycle. Robert stood up, walked, thinking. If all this is true, if Jesus taught liberation and not religion, what does that mean for me, for my faith? It means that true faith doesn't depend on an institution. It depends on a direct connection, you and the divine, without an intermediary. But I always went to church. And you can continue if it nourishes your spirit. But now you know you don't need it. The real temple is within. It always has been. Robert stopped at the barn door. The sun was beginning to set. Late afternoon. You said you have one more revelation about awakening. About why now? Yes, but only when you're ready. I'm ready. I've already destroyed everything I thought I knew. You can complete the job. I didn't destroy. I freed. There is a difference. Then show me the ultimate revelation. Why this is happening now. Why you fell here. Why me? KL studied Robert. He is sure. Try. Okay, but this isn't a vision of the past. It's about the present and the near future. Global awakening and your role in it. My role. I'm a farmer in the middle of nowhere, exactly for this reason. Truth doesn't return through the powerful. It returns through the humble. Jesus taught this, and the pattern repeats itself. Robert took a deep breath. Show me. Kyle touched his forehead for the third time, and the final revelation began about what was coming. The awakening that couldn't be stopped, and why Robert Hale, a Christian rancher from Montana, was at the center of it. Robert plunged into the third vision, but this time it wasn't the past. It was now present, and the future was forming. Earth view from above, globe spinning but not physically, energetically. Robert felt a field of consciousness enveloping the planet. Billions of minds, billions of frequencies, and something was changing. Awakening, beginning, slow but inevitable. KL, narrating. For millennia, humanity slept, controlled by institutions, religious, governmental, corporate, all saying, obey, don't question, we know best. But cycles change, and now the cycle of awakening has arrived. Robert saw waves, frequencies starting small, individuals here and there questioning, searching, not accepting ready-made narratives. The internet has accelerated. Information that once took centuries to spread now takes seconds. Suppressed texts are being digitized, shared. The Ethiopian Bible is available online. The Dead Sea Scrolls, Nag Hammadi, everything is accessible. The church can no longer control information. Burning digital books is impossible. Robert saw a pattern. Millions of people leaving organized religions not because of atheism but because of a direct search for spirituality. I don't need a pastor telling me what to think. I can read it for myself. I don't need a priest as an intermediary. I can pray directly. I don't need dogma. I can seek truth on my own. And religious institutions panicking, losing followers, losing control, losing power. The continued, Jesus prophesied this. When the world is darkest, my voice will return among the humble. Darkness has arrived. Wars, corruption, inequality, failing institutions. And so light returns, not through the Pope, not through televangelists, but through ordinary people rediscovering ancient truth. Vision showing farmers, teachers, factory workers, housewives, reading forbidden texts, questioning, waking up, critical mass approaches. When enough awaken, the ignorance-based control system collapses. Robert felt hope and fear mixed together. And me? Why am I seeing this? Because you are one of them. The ones who will wake up, and because you are in a unique position, isolated, far from big cities, far from heavy institutional influence, a devout but questioning Christian, an open heart despite conditioning. When you share, and you will, others will listen because you're not an academic, you're not a theologian, you're a simple man, just as Jesus was a simple carpenter. Simplicity makes the message accessible. Share. I can't. No one will believe what Alien told me about Ethiopian Bible. No need to mention Alien, just direct people to texts. I discovered something. The Ethiopian Bible has 88 books. Look it up, read it. Decide for yourself. Seed planted. Some will ignore it, but others will seek it and awaken and plant more seeds. Cascade effect. Exponential. Vision showing Robert talking to a neighbor. Neighbor, researching, finding texts, sharing with a friend, friend sharing with family, family sharing at church, pastor feeling threatened, but congregation questioning, why were we never told about these texts? This is how it begins. This is how it has always begun. Truth doesn't need an army. It needs willing bearers. Robert saw a global scale. Not just him. Millions like him in every country. Every culture. Muslims discovering suppressed Sufi texts. Jews discovering Kabbalah beyond rabbinic interpretations. Buddhists, Hindus, everyone finding original teachings buried beneath institutional layers. Awakening is not Christian, it is human universal. A return to the direct spiritual source, and institutions, fighting calling heresy, but losing because they can't burn the internet, they can't kill everyone who knows. It was an era of control through ignorance, ending vision slowing down, focusing back on Robert Cale shows. The coming weeks, months, Robert, returning to town casual. Conversations turning deep, the right people showing up at the right time, synchronicity, the universe, connecting those who need to connect. Not everyone will accept it. Many will reject it. They will call it crazy, heretic, deceived. But enough will hear, and that is enough. And Cale, alien from another civilization, smiling if it was a smile. My role was a catalyst to fall here, to force you to confront the truth. Now you carry and plant. My part is complete. Robert returned, opening his eyes. Last time. Cale, removing his hand. A long silence. Robert processing everything. 3 visions, 3 days of revelations. So I'm what? Messenger? Prophet? No, just a man who knows the truth and shares it when appropriate. Nothing grand, just honest. And you? Are you leaving tomorrow? Is the ship repaired? Yes, tomorrow at dawn. I leave. And you continue with what? What do I do with all this? Live differently. Know that power lies within, not in institutions. When others ask why you changed, tell them without forcing, without evangelizing, just share. And it points to texts, Ethiopian Bible, Gnostic Gospels, preserved manuscripts. Read, decide. Nothing more than that. Robert remained silent. Then why does your species care so much about our awakening? Because we've been there before, millennia ago. We had institutions controlling us through fear, suppressing the truth until we woke up. And we evolved exponentially since then. We want this for you. Not out of pure altruism, but because the galaxy needs more awakened species. The universe is better when consciousness evolves. What if we don't wake up? What if institutions win? They won't win. Not completely. The cycle has already begun. But it could take a while, centuries perhaps, or decades if critical mass accelerates. You and millions like you determine speed, not destiny. Destiny is already decided. Humanity awakens. The question is when. Robert stood up. He looked around the barn. The ship was there. 3 days ago, life was normal. Now I don't know whether to thank you or curse you for this. Both are valid. Truth liberates, but freedom frightens. It's a weight that ignorance cannot carry. Well put. Robert walked to the door. He stopped. Tomorrow you're leaving and I'm staying. With all this on my mind, yes, but not alone. Others know too. Others share too. You will find it. How will I know who they are? You will recognize frequency, vibration. Those who have awakened feel others awakened. Subtly, but real. Robert nodded. Okay, I'll sleep. Process. I'll see you off tomorrow. Yes. Thank you, Robert, for not rejecting the truth out of fear. I'm still scared. Good. Healthy fear keeps us humble. Spiritual arrogance is a dangerous trap. Robert left. He walked back home under the starry sky. 3 days, 3 visions, 3 revelations that destroyed and rebuilt faith. I didn't know what to do next, but I knew I couldn't pretend it hadn't happened. Truth once known cannot be unknown. And Robert Hale, a simple Montana farmer, now carried truths that the church had suppressed for 2,000 years. Not because he was special, but because he was willing to listen, and that the said was always enough. Dawn. Robert woke up before sunrise. I knew today Cale was leaving. Quick coffee, walked to the barn last time with an alien on the property. He unlocked the door and went in. Kyle stood beside the ship. His wound was completely healed. His posture was erect. Good morning, Robert. Good morning. So, today is the day. Yes, the ship is repaired. I can depart safely. Robert looked at the ship. 3 days ago, it was impossible. Now, it was barely real. Other regions, other humans potentially ready for the truth. Are there many like me? More than you can imagine, and the number grows daily. Awakening is exponential. Once started, silence. Robert didn't know what to say. How could he fire an alien who changed everything? I still don't know what to do with everything you've shown me. You don't need to know now. Clarity comes with time. Just live differently. The rest will reveal itself. What if I fail? What if no one listens? What if they call me crazy? Some will call, others will listen. You don't control the reaction. You just share the truth. The outcome is their problem, not yours. Robert took a deep breath. I'm going to miss you strangely. 3 days, and it feels like I've known you longer. Deep connections don't depend on linear time. We touch essences. This transcends hours or days. Will I see you again someday? Maybe if paths cross again, or maybe not. But the connection remains, even without physical presence. Cale began moving toward the ship. He stopped. He turned. Robert, one last thing. Try. When you doubt, and you will, return to the texts. Read the Ethiopian Bible. Read the Gnostic Gospels. Not my word. Words preserved for 2,000 years. Let them confirm or refute what I've shown. Truth does not fear investigation. Lies do. Okay, I'll do it. And remember, Jesus didn't come to create religion. He came to free consciences. Live this, not dogma about it. Understood? They entered the ship. Robert retreated to the barn door. Ship began not making noise, just vibrating, silvery blue light intensifying. And then he levitated gently. He left the barn. He went up. Robert watched. The sky brightened with dawn. The ship rose rapidly, became a point of light. Then, nothing. It disappeared. Robert stood still for a long time, staring at the empty sky. "There goes," he murmured, "and here I am with a mess in my head." He returned home. He sat at the table. The Bible was still there where he had left it 3 days ago. He opened it. He leafed through it. He looked at it differently now, knowing it was incomplete. Edited. Got an old laptop. Slow but functional internet. Typed Ethiopian Bible 88 books. Results appeared. Hundreds websites, PDFs, translations. So, it's real. It's all here. Available. I just never looked. He began to read. The Book of Enoch. He had never seen it. It wasn't in his Bible, but it was there online, preserved, accessible. He read for hours. The sun was fully rising. The cattle needed attention, but were waiting. And the more he read, the more it resonated, as if part of him had always known, but never had the words. The next few days were strange. Robert returned to his routine. Cattle, fences, normal farm work. But it wasn't normal. He wasn't normal. I looked at different mountains, a different sky, a different Bible. Everything had layers now, depth I hadn't seen before. A week after Kale left, Robert went to town. Monthly shopping, market, gas station, hardware store, and in the bookstore, small, almost closing. He stopped in the religious section, Bibles, devotionals, Christian self-help books, but nothing about removed texts, nothing about the Ethiopian Bible, nothing about the Council of Nika. He approached the counter, an elderly lady, the owner of the store. "Can I help you?" "Yes. Do you have books on the history of the Bible? How was it compiled? What texts were included or excluded?" She frowned. "We have some stuff on biblical history. Not a history of events, a history of the book, how it came to be in its present form." I don't think we have anything specific about that. Can I order it?" "No need." "Thank you." Robert left. Of course they don't. They don't sell anything that challenges their own base. Sunday. Robert woke up. Time for church. A decades-old ritual. He got ready. Clean shirt, Bible under his arm. He got in the car. He started it. He put his hand on the gear shift and stopped. "Why am I going?" "Habit. Social obligation. Fear of what people will think if I don't go." He turned off the car. He went back home. He sat on the porch. He opened the Bible. He read it alone. No pastor interpreting, no sermon directing, just him and text. And it was different, better, more direct. Jesus saying, "The kingdom of God is within you." Paul saying, "Do you not know that you are the temple of the Holy Spirit?" It's always been there. I've always read it, but now I see it. Cell phone rang. Familiar number, church pastor. Robert let it go to voicemail. Message later. "Robert, we missed you today. How are you? Call if you need anything." He didn't call. Not yet. He didn't know what to say. How do I explain? "Pastor, an alien landed on my farm and showed me that the church hid 22 books of the Bible for 11700 years. No, silence is better for now." 2 weeks Robert continued studying alone. Slow but adequate internet, Ethiopian Bible, Book of Enoch, Jubilees, Gnostic Gospels. And the more I read, the more pieces fell into place. Jesus teaching spiritual autonomy. Paul preserving part of it. The institutional church bearing the rest. Not a malevolent conspiracy. Just power doing what power always does. Protecting itself. One day, driving to check on a distant fence, he passed a small church. Old sign, First Baptist Church, founded 1887. I had been going there my whole life. Father had gone, grandfather had gone, and now it felt different, smaller, less absolute. It's not an enemy, it's not evil, just incomplete, pointing to the truth but not being the complete truth. He drove home and for the first time in decades, he felt peace without the guilt of not going to church. Kael said, "The temple is inside. It always was. I just forgot." 1 month after Kael's departure, Robert was repairing a tractor when he saw a car coming up the road. Rare. The property was isolated. Car stopped. Pastor got out. Reverend Mark, good man, Sincere. Robert, I finally find you home. Reverend, how are you? I should ask you that. He hasn't been seen in a month. People are worried. Robert wiped his hands on a rag. I'm fine. I just needed time. Time for what? Did something happen? Yes, something happened, but I can't explain it. Not in a way that would make sense. Reverend studied him. Crisis of faith. No, opposite. Clarity of faith, but different from what I expected. Robert, if you have any questions, we can talk. Church is a safe place to ask questions. Robert almost laughed, but he held back. Reverend, with all due respect, church is a safe place to ask questions within established boundaries. But some questions go beyond that. Like what? How? Why does the Bible we use have 66 books when the original had more? Who decided why? And where are the removed ones? Reverend blinked. You're talking about apocrypha texts that were not considered inspired. Considered by whom? Council of Bishops in 325 AD under the authority of the Roman Emperor. Is this divine inspiration or political decision? Robert, be careful. Questioning scriptural canon is dangerous ground. Why? If scriptures are true, they hold up to questioning. If they don't, maybe they're not as solid as we think. Tense silence. Reverend clearly unsure how to respond. Are you okay? Really? Aren't you using drugs? Did you have any trauma? Robert laughed humorlessly. No, nothing like that. I just had an encounter with truth from an unexpected source and I can't unsee what I saw. What source? I can't say, but I can say this. Ethiopian Bible, 88 books, preserved for 2,000 years. Research it, read it, see for yourself. Reverend sighed, I will pray for you. Robert, I appreciate it genuinely. And Reverend, I'm not rejecting God. I'm rejecting unnecessary intermediaries. Big difference. Reverend got back into his car. He drove off. Dust rose on the road. Robert stood still, feeling freedom, loneliness. Both, Kyle warned. Some reject it, others listen, but I can't control my reaction. I just live the truth. 2 months after meeting, Robert stood on the porch, sunset over the mountains, coffee in hand, and he felt profound gratitude for everything, for life, for the farm, for the solitude that allowed Kale to fall there. Because if I had close neighbors, if I had constant family, I would never have kept ship. I would never have heard the truth. Isolation was not a curse. It was preparation. He looked at the sky. Stars were beginning to appear. Wherever you are, Kale, thank you for trusting me, for showing what was hidden, for freeing what was trapped inside. No answer. I didn't expect it, but I said it anyway because he needed to, not for Kale, for himself. Recognizing that life had changed irreversibly and that he accepted it. No church, no religious community, just him, God, and straightforward truth. Jesus taught this. When you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to the Father who is in secret. I don't need a temple. I don't need a ritual. I don't need an intermediary. Temple is here. Touched chest. It always has been. Robert finished his coffee. He went in. He opened his laptop. He continued studying, reading, absorbing texts that the church called apocryphal, but Ethiopia called sacred. And the more he read, the freer he became, not of God, of cages built in the name of God. And freedom, frightening as it was better than the security of a comfortable prison. Robert Hale's story reveals a truth that religious institutions have hidden for centuries. You don't need them, at least not forever, and to ensure you never find out, they use the oldest and most effective tool, fear. Fear of hell if you don't obey, fear of damnation if you question, fear of heresy if you investigate alone, fear of an angry God if you dare to think differently. Don't question the scriptures. It's a sin. Do not study forbidden texts. It is a gateway for demons. Don't trust your own understanding. You need a shepherd to guide you. Why are you so afraid of thinking alone? But church isn't bad, is it? No. The church itself is not the enemy. Community helps people who are alone, lost, and lacking spiritual foundation find God through church. Pastor teaches, ritual structures, community supports. For many, church is exactly what they needed at that moment. And that's beautiful, legitimate, necessary even. The problem is not that the church exists. The problem is that the church imprisons. Crucial difference. Healthy church says, come, learn, grow, and when you're ready, fly. Seek God your way. We're here if you need us, but don't depend on us forever. Toxic church says, come, obey, stay. Leaving is rebellion. Questioning is sin. You will always need us to be safe. One is a bridge, the other is a cage. One gradually liberates, the other permanently imprisons. The church should be a bridge leading you to God, not a cage preventing you from reaching Him directly. And many churches, not all, but many, have become gilded cages. They use fear to create perpetual dependence. Without us, you're lost. Without our spiritual covering, it becomes vulnerable. Without our shepherd, Satan deceives you. This is not protection, it's manipulation. Because the truth is, some need church initially but not forever. Church could be a school. You learn, grow, graduate, and leave, prepared to walk. Not a lifelong prison where you are never ready enough for spiritual autonomy. Jesus did not create dependent followers. He created autonomous disciples. You will do greater works than I. Let's get to the historical facts, not theory facts. Number Ethiopian Bible has 88 books. Western has 2 more books, including Enoch, Jubilees, and complete post-resurrection texts. Why were they removed? Council of Nika, 325 AD under Constantine, emperor not prophet. Political choice disguised as divine guidance. Number 2. Ethiopia preserved everything because it was never colonized. Rome could not burn what it did not control. The monasteries of Libella guarded the truth for 2,000 years. Number 3. Forbidden texts teach autonomy, not blind obedience. Gospel of Thomas. Kingdom is within and around, not in temples. Gnostic Gospels. Direct knowledge overcomes institutionalized faith. Post-resurrection teachings. Every person has the same power as Jesus. They just forgot. Number 4. Church suppressed this violently. He didn't just remove texts. He killed those who owned them. Heresy was punishable by death. Why? Protection of faith or protection of institutional power? How does institutional fear work? The church teaches you, from childhood, you are a sinner, unworthy, flawed, dependent on external salvation. Without Jesus, you are lost. It's true, but without our interpretation of Jesus, you are lost. This is a lie in disguise. They teach you that questioning is arrogant, investigating is dangerous, thinking differently is a gateway to the devil. Why? Because questioning is a threat to an obedience-based system. They teach you that you need a pastor to interpret the Bible because you make mistakes alone. Why? Because being a self-employed pastor means an end to dependency, an end to tithing based on fear, an end to control. They teach you that rituals are necessary: institutional baptism, official communion, confession to a priest. Why? Because rituals create checkpoints. Without our seal, your spirituality is incomplete. It's manipulation through fear, creating lifelong dependence, preventing you from flying. But something has changed. The internet, free information, hidden texts now available, Ethiopian Bible online, digitized manuscripts, millions discovering. Wait, there's so much more they haven't told me. Millions realizing I was taught to be afraid to investigate. Why? Millions waking up. I don't need a permanent intermediary. I can grow beyond. And institutions panic. They lose followers. They lose tithes. They lose control. They react by intensifying fear. Beware of false teachers. Beware of end-time deception. Stay with us. Here you are safe but sure of what? Of truth, of growth, of autonomy. So the real question, do you want freedom or the safety of a comfortable cage? Freedom means investigating alone, questioning traditions, reading forbidden texts, growing beyond what the institution allows. And yes, it's scary because freedom comes with responsibility. Without a pastor telling you what to think, you need to seek it out. But it also means spiritual autonomy, direct connection, recognized inner power. Cage means obeying without question, accepting ready-made interpretations dependent on external validation forever. Comfortable? Yes, because someone thinks for you. Free? Never. Is the church necessary? For some at certain stages? Absolutely. Yes. Lost people need community, structure, early education. Church can be a beautiful bridge to God. Preparatory school, supportive community. The problem isn't the church as a tool. The problem is the church as a mandatory cage, as a final destination from which you can never leave without being rebellious or deviant. Jesus formed autonomous disciples. The church wants dependent members. Jesus said, "The truth will set you free." Church says, "Our interpretation of the truth will keep you safe with us." Big difference. Robert woke up not because church is bad, but because he discovered that dependence was artificial. He could seek God directly, read texts alone, pray without an intermediary, not because the church never served a purpose, but because its purpose in his life was already fulfilled. And I was ready for the next level. Spiritual autonomy. Some aren't ready, and that's okay. Everyone has their own time. But if you are feeling imprisoned instead of free, if you are questioning but being silenced by fear, if you feel like you've grown beyond your means but are prevented from flying, maybe it's time to investigate beyond what the institution allows, not abandoning God, abandoning the cage built in His name. Texts are available, digitized manuscripts. Just search for them. The church can no longer burn what it does not control. The question is not, can I access it? It's, will I have the courage to access it? Courage to question, to investigate, to grow beyond. Or will fear planted by institutions win? Church as a bridge. Beautiful. Church as a cage. Problem. You decide which one you are living. And if you decide you're ready for autonomy to fly beyond the bridge that brought you here, Jesus gave you wings. Don't let the institution cut them off for fear of discovering you could always fly.